I don't even really know where to begin with this review. I just saw Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and I did not enjoy myself. The script serves less as a basic narrative and more of just a device for delivering nostalgic hits for people who have played the games, just being like, hey, you played the games, you know, everyone knows that Five Nights at Freddy's has the deepest lore, so let's just touch on that. Let's put this iconic thing in from the game, or sometimes a less iconic thing from the game. And yeah, sure, I'm not the target demographic for this film. You know, I didn't play the games, I didn't grow up watching Matt, Pat, and Markiplier and all those guys play it either. So, you know, I'm not going to get that same nostalgic hit. But I would make the same complaint against the Super Mario Brothers movie, the more recent one, which also just served to just give you nostalgia, and that is for something I actually cared for, and I actually enjoyed those original games, and I really didn't find the plot of the Super Mario Brothers movie very good either, so I had a lot of the same issues regardless of whether or not I was familiar with the source material. And I think that the plot problems are really the most evident in the very end of the movie, where in the middle of a very big character beat, it just kind of stops. It doesn't so much as end as it just feels like, well, that's it, go home, movie's done. And while, you know, the big capital P plot has been resolved, none of the character dynamics are. And it feels like they're just intentionally saving those for a inevitable third movie, because this movie and the first one both made a lot of money. And speaking of that first one, I actually thought the first one was a pretty decent film. It wasn't my favorite film, but I thought it was definitely passable. You know, a solid movie. And one big thing that that first movie does that this one abandons is it is set in Freddy's. It is set in this one location that Josh Hutcherson is trapped in. And he is being pursued by these killer robot things, ghost children, whatever they are. He's being attacked by them, and he can't leave. Here, though, the animatronics go out into the world, and they're terrorizing Wayne Knight and doing all this stuff, and it just becomes a much more generic slasher. It loses that unique bit that it had, that part that I think made the game so endearing, is you have to get through these 5 nights, you know, and you're trapped here, whereas now they're just out in the world and you have to go deal with them. It's less claustrophobic, it's a lot less scary in my opinion. However, this movie is not completely without merit, and it's something that carries over from the first film, something that bumped that first film up from a below-average film to me to an average film, and something that, for at least this film, saves it from being completely irredeemable, something that I quite liked a lot, and that is the use of the actual physical animatronics, which are made by the Henson Creature Shop. I think that a lot of movies like this would just make these CGI creations, would just make them, you know, completely, like, digitally created bad guys. And since they're real, since they're physically there, that you can feel the real weight, you know, you can feel the real sense of dread when these things come around, when they're stomping around. It does give the movie a little something special. And I loved seeing how tangible and real they felt. Because no matter how good CGI gets, you can always kind of tell, right? And sometimes that's just the only choice in a movie. But here, it was clearly the right choice to have this done, and they went with the best in the business with Jim Henson's Creature Shop. Anyway, I've been Derek McDuff. I hope you guys have liked what I've had to say. If you want to hear more of what I have to say, you can check out my podcast, Underrated, on all podcast apps or by following Underrated Movie Podcast. I'll see y'all next time.